Hi, my wonderful crochet friends. My name is Ashley, and today's tutorial is the Aspen Beanie. This beanie pattern comes in 8 different sizes, from newborn all the way up until adult sizes. You will have a newborn size, a 3 to 6 month size, a 6 to 12 month size. You will also have a toddler, 1 to 3-year-old size, a child size, 3 years to 10 years old, and a teen/adult small size, adult medium size, and adult large size. This pattern will come with instructions for you to have either a slouchy hat or a hat just like this with the folded brim, or an option of not having any slouch or any folded brim. It will be just slightly smaller, so that size will be more like a fitted beanie size. So you will have 3 different options for your pattern, and each of these sizes with the amount of foundation chains and the amount of rows and the measurement for you to measure the width of your hat just to make sure that it fits. All of those measurements will be on my blog at poshdiycrochetpatterns.blogspot.com. This pattern is designed to look just like knitting. So you will have your knit and your purl, and your knit and your purl rows, and it's all crochet. And I will also teach how to close your beanie properly and how to close the top properly, so you won't have a gap and it'll be a nice seamless close. And also, this pattern is reversible. So if you want, you can reverse the beanie and wear it for a totally different pattern. And the way that I will teach you how to close your beanie, it'll be a perfect close on both sides. So this yarn right here, I was able to make this adult medium and this newborn size out of 2 rows. So you will need 2 rows for your teen/adult larges, or adult sizes all the way up to adult large. You will need 2 rows. You will use about 1.5 rows to make the adult medium, and you will have enough to also make a newborn size if you wish. So both of these hats right here, I used up almost 2 whole rows. Also, I wanted to point out that this Aspen tweed does have less yardage in it than the other Hometown USA yarns. So the other Hometown USA yarns has 81 yards in it, but this Aspen tweed, this only has 64 yards. So if you would like to make the size large adult in this exact color, Aspen tweed, you will need 3 balls. But if you use, say, this color, Hoboken Honey, or the golden Madison color of Hometown USA, you will only need 2 balls for the size large adult. And this yarn here, this is Hometown USA. This color is Hoboken Honey. And for the tutorial, we will use the exact yarn, just in a different color. So this is Hometown. It's a Lion Brand yarn. one roll comes with 64 yards. So with 2 rolls, you can make the adult medium and the newborn size. Or with 2 rolls, you can make the teen/adult small, or the medium adult, or the large adult, whichever you wish. So this color here, this is called Aspen Tweed, and it has a nice tweed yarn with different colors of browns and blacks and creams. It's a very nice yarn. So you will need your yarn. Oh, also, this is a bulky 6-weight yarn. So if you want to substitute this yarn, just make sure you find the yarn ball where it says super bulky, and it has the number 6 for a super bulky 6. And with this pattern, the pattern calls for a size 8mm crochet hook. That way we will have nice, snug stitches that resemble the knit and the purl. And you will also need your scissors, of course, and a large yarn needle, large enough to fit your bulky 6-weight yarn in. And we will use this to close the sides together of our beanie and to close the top nice and snug. And I will also have a tutorial on how to make your pom-pom balls for your beanies. So I will also have a tutorial on that as well. If you would like to make your own pom-pom beanies, I do suggest that you use yarn needles like these. I'd pick these yarn needles up at Walmart. They're called doll needles, and this was around $2. And the reason why I suggest to use these for your homemade pom-pom balls is because the tips of these needles are very similar to sewing needles, and this will be sharp enough to go into the fabric of your faux fur. So these are faux fur pom-poms, and both were made with this this yarn needle right here. And this is a yarn needle for heavy thread, which is perfect for homemade faux fur poms. So go to the blog, grab your written pattern for your size, and get your yarn, your bulky 6-weight yarn, and your 8mm hook, your scissors, and your large yarn needle, and meet me back so we can get this started. And you will also need a measuring tape. Any measuring tape or any ruler will do. I do suggest that you use a ruler or a measuring tape to measure the widest width of your beanie, just to make sure that you match up with your correct size. And also on my blog, you will find a size chart where you can match up your head size for your beanie size. So to begin, every size, each beanie will be the same pattern. So we will each start off with a long yarn tail. So we will need to get our measuring tape or our ruler. So for the child size, you will need 12 inches of a yarn tail, and for all sizes above that, you will need at least 24 inches of yarn tail. So we will measure that out. And we will begin with a slip knot. And for the tutorial, I will be making an adult large. So just match up your head size for your beanie size and follow the instructions. So you can make your hat like a form-fitting beanie if you'd like, or you can make your hat with slouch if you'd like, or you can make it with a folded brim also. And all instructions are on my blog. So for the adult large, I will be chaining 45 chains. And this beanie hat will be the large amount of chains to have the slouch or the folded brim. So for each size, we will follow the same exact pattern. So we will be making in the second chain from our hook in the back loop only, we will be making 1 half double crochet slip stitch. So in that second chain, in that back loop only, we will go up, we will yarn over and pull through and up, and we will have 3 loops on our hook. What we will do is we will pinch right here in between this first and second loop. And what we will do is we will grab that first loop and we will pull that through both loops to create our half double crochet slip stitch. We will repeat this in the back loop. We will pinch and then we will grab that first loop and we will just pull that through both loops. And that creates a really nice raised knit stitch. So for each size, we will repeat this going all the way down our chain until there is 2 chains left. And I'm keeping my tension nice and snug. So to obtain the correct gauge, try to make your stitches nice and tight and snug. Continue this all the way across your chain until you have 2 chains left. So you want 2 empty chains. And I will meet you back right there. And I also want to point out that if you are unable to make tight, snug stitches, that's okay. You don't necessarily have to use tight, snug stitches, but if you do like to make your stitches quite loose, then on my blog, under the beanie size that you wish to make, there will be a measurement that you can go by. So you don't necessarily have to go by the exact amount of rows completed for each size. Always measure and make sure that your measurements are exact for your size. And if you are a little over, then you can just take apart, just pull your yarn to remove as many rows as you need to obtain the size that you need for your beanie size. So I just wanted to point that out just in case, because you don't want your beanie to be too large or too small. So if you go by the measurement that you need for your size, then that is always the best way to go. And I have one more half double crochet slip stitch. So here I have 2 chains left. In the back loop of those 2 chains, we are going to make 1 slip stitch. And you will do this in the back loop of both of those chains. And you kind of want to make sure your slip stitches are a little bit big. That way it's just easier to work into. So for row 2, we will chain 1 and turn. And this is the same for all sizes. And this is a 2-row repeat. So for row 2, here is our same chain. So we have our chain 1 right here. And this right here is considered the same chain. And that is our slip stitch. So what we will do now is in those 2 slip stitches, we will work another slip stitch in both of these slip stitches, but we will do this in the front loop only. So we will go into the front loop only and yarn over and pull through and complete that slip stitch. In our next chain in the front loop only in this loop, We will insert our hook in that front loop, and we will make one slip stitch. And for each chain now, all the way until the very end, we will repeat the half double crochet slip stitch, but we will do this now in the front loops only. So we will yarn over and we will dip our hook down. We're going to go into that front loop only and yarn over and pull through. We have our 3 loops on our hook. I'm going to pinch and then pull that first loop through those 2 loops. And I will repeat this in each front loop. And I want to remember to obtain our correct gauge for the amount of rows that are given for our size. I'm going to make nice tight stitches, but just remember to always measure your piece before you fold your sides and sew it together. Make sure you measure the widest, largest part of your beanie, which will be by your brim. Measure that out and make sure that it is the correct amount of inches for your size. So, for instance, this adult large, I will need to repeat row 1 and 2 over and over until I reach 21 inches in length. Continue making your half double crochet slip in the front loop of each chain all the way until the end. Once you've completed your half double crochet slip stitch in the front loop only in the last chain, we will chain 1 and we will turn our work. And now we will repeat row 1. So row 1, here are our chains here, and here is our first chain. So this right here is our chain 1, and this here is our same chain. So in the same chain, we will work in the back loop only, just like we did for row 1. So we will yarn over and we will go into the back loop only, and we will make a half double crochet slip stitch. And I need to try to make my stitches as tight as possible. So I will continue this in the next chain in the back loop only. And I'm going to pinch and then just pull that through for a nice snug stitch. The tighter the stitches are, the more it looks like knitting. So I will go into that back loop and repeat. And this is going to be a 2-row repeat. And see here, you can already see our purl and our knit forming. Repeat this all the way until you have your empty 2 chains. So these last 2 chains here, we will leave empty, and we will work 1 slip stitch in the back loop in each of those last 2 chains, just like row 1. And I will meet you back in the 3rd to last chain. So we have 2 chains left, and in these last 2 chains, in the back loop only, we will make 1 slip stitch. It's 1, and 2. And then for row 4, we will chain 1 and we will turn. And now we will repeat row 2. So we will find our same chain here. So right here is our chain 1, and right here is our same chain. If you have trouble finding your same chain, what you could do, once you complete your last slip stitch, you could always add a stitch marker. You could always place your stitch marker right there in your very last chain. That way when you turn, it'll already be marked. And I just used that as an example. I didn't have a stitch marker handy exactly, but so yeah, so we will find our same chain and we will work into the front loop only. So in that front loop, only, we will make 1 slip stitch. In our next chain, we will go into the front loop only and make 1 slip stitch. And in the remaining chains of this row, we will make 1 half double crochet slip stitch in the front loops only. And we will continue this pattern all the way until the end. So now you've learned how to make your purl and your knit stitches in crochet, and you will just continue to repeat row 1 and row 2 over and over until your given size. So this is the adult large, and I need to make this for a total of 43 rows or 21 inches. I definitely want to make sure that this isn't above 21 inches. So if it is, then all I have to do is just remove however many rows you need to obtain 21 inches. And the same goes for every size that you make. And those will also be listed in the blog for each size. So you'll be able to make this for the whole family, no matter what size they are, whether it's newborn, 3 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months. Let's see, so after 6 to 12 months, you'll have toddler sizes, which the toddler size is 1 to 3 years old. And then you'll have the child sizes, which is 3 to 10 years old. And then after that will be teen/adult small, and adult medium, and the adult large that I'm making here. And they will fit. As long as you measure out your beanie panel. So this will work up. So we work this in rows, back and forth, for the amount of rows for your size. So we will end up with a panel, 1 flat panel, and then we will fold the sides together, and then we will stitch the sides, a very easy stitch for a beginner, and then we will stitch up the top of your beanie. So for here, for example, this is the inside, so it is reversible. And this is the newborn size here. So we will seam it to where it's invisible. So you won't be able to find the seam. And a beginner can do that. It's very, very easy. I made this as a beginner friendly pattern in all sizes. And this, to get that really nice closed seam for the outside and the inside, it's very, very easy. It's not hard at all. And I will teach you how to do, put your beanie together. So just make sure once you've worked up your panel always, and this goes for not just my beanies, but I would do this for all beanie patterns, whether it's a written pattern or if you're watching it on YouTube, like this video. Always, always find out um, the the inches for your size, for your size of your beanie. That way it always fits. So even if you make this in loose stitches, if you make sure that this large is exactly 21 inches, no matter the rows, it will definitely fit you. So always remember that. It's a helpful tip, even if you're doing a pattern um, for someone else's pattern. Always make sure you measure the widest part, which is right here. So right here will be the widest part. So you always measure it out. And like this pattern here, this pattern, the flat panel, the widest part right here should measure 18.5 inches. So if you're off a little bit, a row or two, then you can just adjust that for your size. So it'll be very, very easy for you to make sure that you make a beanie that will definitely fit you. And that's all you have to do. So all you have to do is finish up row 4 and repeat row 1 and row 2. And I will meet you back at the end once my panel is finished, and then we will stitch up our beanie together. So we have finished our panel, and this is what your panel should look like. This side right here is your right side up. So this will be the side that everyone will see. And it's up to you if you want to have it without the folded beanie or with the folded brim, or if you want it just for slouch. So for your panel, what I want you to do is just give just a little stretch. Just a little stretch right here at the bottom. This will be our widest point. This will also be where we fold our brim. So just give that just a little tug, and then I want you to take your tape measure and measure across. And I have exactly 21 inches. And this is for the adult large. And this pattern is also a gender neutral pattern. So this beanie, for example, I made for a man. And these here, these could also be used for a female or a man or a boy or a girl. And you can either put your cute little pom-pom on it or not. But for this beanie right here with this aspen tweed, I will not be putting a pom-pom on this beanie for a male. But I am going to do a tutorial on how to make your little pom-pom snowballs for child size up to adult sizes. So after you measure your widest width, you always want to go off of the widest width. And actually, I have exactly 43 rows. And we will end on the odd row just so we could fold our beanie and take our yarn tail and just sew straight down. But it doesn't matter. You can end on an even row if you like, or the odd row. But this here for 21 inches, I have exactly 43 rows, which is great. That's what we want. So our next step is to grab our yarn needle, and I'm going to use a large eye yarn needle because this yarn is so thick. This is a chunky yarn. So what we need to do is we need to cut our yarn tail. And for newborn up to 6 months old, you will cut a, a 15-inch yarn tail. For toddler, all the way up to adult small, you will cut 20-inch yarn tail. And for the adult medium and adult large, you will cut a 24-inch yarn tail. So we will take our measuring tape here. I'm just going to keep a small loop, and I'm going to measure from here out. And I need 24 inches. And it can be a little over 24 if you'd like. That's totally up to you. And also I want to point out, I'd explained in this exact color, this aspen tweed color, for the adult large, you will need 3 balls. And I only used just a little over on that 3rd ball. So I still have quite a bit left. I could actually make another newborn. I can make a toddler size. I should have enough to make another newborn up to toddler size with just a little over half a row. So this is about 75% of the row. So what we will do is we will go ahead and thread our yarn needle with that yarn tail that we just cut. And we will keep it just like this. So we will keep the knit purl front facing here, front facing us. And what we will do is we will just fold it just like this. Now we're going to turn so it's easy for us to sew this together. This loop, I will just take that yarn tail and put it straight through that loop and bind that off. So now we are looking at the inside of our beanie. And this is just my yarn tails from joining that 3rd row. And as you see, I didn't use much. It was only just a little over that 3rd row. So I didn't use much of that 3rd row at all. So this will be the inside, but you can also use it as the front side too. It is a reversible beanie. But what we will do here is I want you to find your chains. So I see here, here's my chains right here. And on this opposite side, I more or less only have 1 chain, which is fine, but I kind of want to go for the chain behind that. I want this chain here to not be worked into. So what we are going to do is, so here is my first chain. I'm just going to go into that front loop right there. Just that front loop. And then I'm going to go across here, and I want to find a loop that is behind that loop. And then I'm just going to go for another loop that's behind. I don't want that front loop, I want the back loop on this side. And now I want the front loop on this side, the side that's facing closest to you. So I'm on in the front loop, And then I'm just going to go into a back loop. Now back loop. Front loop. Front loop. Back loop. Back loop. And then front loop. And the reason why we are doing it this way is when we flip it, it will have a really nice seam that looks a lot like the rest of our stitches. And that is why we're stitching it like this. And I want you to just try to get it lined up the best you can. And if you don't like this type of seam, you could always go for a different seam if you'd like. And you just continue to do that all the way across. And I will meet you back at the end. Once we reach our end, we want to make sure that the bottom here is nice and secure. So what I will do is I will just go into another loop that's nearby. And then I will go across. Let's see. That way it joins really, really tight there. We want that to be a really nice close. And then I will just go through a loop on the other side. And then I will just kind of weave this in going upwards here. Gotta try to squeeze that yarn needle through those tight stitches, so you just kind of gotta find a nice good spot to weave it in going back up. Okay, I think that's good. So I will clip that. In any yarn ends that you have from when you joined a new row, we will just need to weave these in nicely so that they don't show on the right side out. So this is the inside here. We want to do the same thing. We just want to hide these yarn tails. And I don't want to go too far into the stitches because I do not want it to be seen on the other side. I'm just trying to find a loop that I can go into on this side here. And then I'm just going to go backwards here. And by going one way and then going the opposite way, really kind of locks it in. So you don't have to worry about it unraveling on you. We don't want it too tight because we still want this to have the stretch that it needs when it goes onto the head. And that should be good. So just do that technique with all your yarn ends, so it's all nice and neat. And I will meet you back and we will sew up the top of our hat. And I will show you how to make that really nice closed tight seam. So you will need to fold your beanie right side out. So this is our right side with our purl, knit, purl, knit. So what we will do now is the original yarn tail that we began with. We will now thread with our yarn needle. And we will just hold it up to where it's comfortable for us to sew. And what we will do is, you will see we have like the purl and then we have our knit chains here. So what we will do is we are going to stitch in the very top of the knit. So if you look, you'll see here's our knit row, here's our purl, here's our knit, and here's our purl. So we will go into the very top part of the knit. And we will go in right there. And if you have a aluminum metal yarn needle, I like those better than these plastic ones, just because these plastic ones are a little bit harder to get into tight stitches, but this is all I have for a large eye yarn needle. So it looks a little difficult for me to get into the stitches, and that's just because it's plastic. So we will basically be going in every other row. So we want to go into the top part of our knit, that knit ribbing. And we will do this all the way around. So you'll basically see these notches here, and then you'll see one loop, and the notches, and then one loop. So we're just going into the top where those notches are. And I'm going to do this all the way around. So we'll skip that one loop there and go right into where that notch is. And I'm just cinching it as I go. And I will pull this as tight as I can. And what we will do is we will try to go around and around in a circle. So the bigger the beanie it is, a little bit more difficult it is to do this. These smaller beanies are easier to do, but we just want to try to go in through those top stitches. And of course, if you have an aluminum metal yarn needle, it'll make it a lot easier to do this. It's just a little bit more difficult for me because of the plastic yarn needle that I have. And hopefully it doesn't break because this is the only one I have. But we'll make it work. So I'm just going to keep going in through some stitches in a circle. And I'm just going to keep going. And just go into whatever is easiest and comfortable for you. So we'll just keep going and keep closing. So by doing this, it's giving us a nice tight stitch close, and that is what we want. And it usually works well if you go around it 3 times in total. That usually closes it up really nicely. So far, it is looking good. And I'm going to try to get in between that crease there. You see how it's kind of bunching up in 4s? If we try to find a stitch in between these creases here, that will help level it out so it doesn't bunch up like this. And you just pull that tight. We have a nice tight seam there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to stick this through this beanie. And we'll just turn it inside out enough to where I could see the yarn strand. And the inside close looks good too. We have a loop. I'm just going to go in from behind and go into that loop. And that is good. And here we go. Isn't that nice? Look at that. And then you can fold the brim if you'd like, or they can just wear it just like this and have a little bit of the slouch at the top. Either way, this is going to be very, very nice and warm. And look at that ribbing. Look at those stitches. Isn't that beautiful? So don't forget to hit the like button, and don't forget to hit the share, and the subscribe bell is right below the right hand corner of the video. And thank you all so much for joining me, and I will see you guys soon with more crochet pattern tutorials. Thank you all so much for joining me. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.